Hi everyone, I'm Paul and I've now spent a year living in South America as a digital nomad in my 50s, mostly in Santa Cruz de la Sierra in Bolivia. And honestly, it's been one of the biggest learning curves of my life, but also one of the best things I've done. So if you watched my first video, you'll know this all started after I left the UK in January 2025 to try something that a lot of people probably thought I was too old to do. The idea was simple enough. I wanted to build a life where I could work remotely, travel, and do something different at this stage of my life. What I didn't really know then was how it would actually feel on a day-to-day basis. And before I go any further, although the title says South America, the truth is most of the past year has been spent here in Bolivia, which has really been my base. Although we also spent 4 months living in a small town called Tefe in the Amazon in Brazil between July and November 2025. I will do a separate video on that because that in itself was a whole experience. But when I look back on the year as a whole, I think the biggest thing I've learned is this. You're never too old to make a big change. That doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean it all suddenly falls into place. And it definitely doesn't mean that you won't have moments where you wonder what on earth you're doing. But it does mean that it's possible. So living here in Bolivia has been a real mix of challenge, surprise, gratitude, and adjustment. On the one hand, there have been so many things I've genuinely loved. I've loved the weather, even if the heat and humidity took some getting used to. I've loved the slower pace of life, and I've loved the wildlife, which still feels slightly surreal to me. So a few minutes walk from where we live, there is a lake with capybaras and caiman. Parrots regularly fly overhead, and we recently had a toucan fly over us. That's just not something I ever imagined would become part of my normal life. I've also really grown to love the feeling of life here. So we live in a condominium just outside Santa Cruz, and it feels secure and settled. And some days it genuinely feels a bit like living in a holiday resort, which still makes me laugh when I say it out loud. The affordability has also made a real difference. Everyday life just feels less pressured in a lot of ways, and that changes more than you might expect. But at the same time, I want to be honest, because there hasn't always been sunshine and capybaras. The hardest part, without any doubt, has been missing my family, especially my daughter Molly and my son Hayden. Although they're both adults and getting on with their own lives, I'm incredibly proud of them. Being far away still isn't easy. FaceTime and WhatsApp help, of course they do, but it's not the same as being there in person. It's not the same as being able to give them a cuddle or just knowing they're nearby if they need you or you need them. That's probably been the part people don't always talk about enough when they speak about making a big life change. You can love the new life you build in and still deeply miss the people you loved back home. There have also been the more practical challenges. The language has been a big one for me. My Spanish is still very much a work in progress, and I've relied a lot on Vanessa, especially with translation and paperwork. She's helped me massively, and I'm very grateful for that. And there's the bureaucracy, which has tested my patience more than once. I've now got a 2-year visa, which I'm really pleased about, but the process itself involved a lot of queuing, photocopying, notarizing, and being sent from one place to another for yet another bit of paper. So no, it hasn't all been easy. But that's also partly the point. Making a big change later in life isn't about everything being perfect. It's about deciding that even with the uncertainty, even with the uncomfortable bits, you still want to give yourself the chance to live differently. And for me, that's what this year has done. It's reminded me that starting again in your 50s is not ridiculous. It's not too late. It's not a sign that you should have everything figured out already. If anything, it's proof that there is still more life to live, more to experience, and more of yourself still to discover. So 1 year in, has it all been worth it? For me, yes, absolutely yes. It's challenged me, stretched me, frustrated me at times, and made me miss home in ways I didn't fully expect. but it's also given me a life experience I'm genuinely grateful for, and one that has already taught me a lot about courage, change, and what this next chapter of life could look like. And in the next video, I'm going to talk more honestly about the hardest part of the whole experience, because that part deserves a video of its own. Thanks so much for watching, and if you've ever thought about making a change later in life, let me know in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you soon.